They say there are nights in the Sahara when the sand isn't just alive, but aware. On the third night of Constantine's push toward Timbuktu, something happened that has been erased from every official record, something no one was meant to remember. But the desert remembers, and so do the descendants of those who were there. The invaders believed the city would fall easily. They had the numbers, the weapons, the arrogance of empire. But they didn't know that the keepers, the ancient protectors of Timbuktu's knowledge, had already called upon the oldest guardians of the desert, the Madziro Igomba, the guardians below the sand. These were not spirits of war or vengeance. They were spirits of balance, entities of pure frequency and memory. They rose only when the very soul of Africa, the memory of its true history, was threatened with extinction. At first, Constantine's men thought it was just another sandstorm, a common peril of the Sahara. But this was different. Storms don't move against the wind. Storms don't form a perfect, suffocating circle around a single military camp. And storms don't whisper in forgotten languages, words that slide under the tent flaps and into the minds of sleeping soldiers. A terrified whisper was passed from man to man. Something is walking under us. The sand began to ripple. Not like wind over dunes, but like the surface of a deep lake disturbed by unseen footsteps from below. Then came the sound, a low gut-wrenching rumble from beneath the earth, as if the very planet was drawing a slow, heavy breath. The dunes themselves seemed to breathe, inhaling and exhaling in a rhythm that defied all logic. But this wasn't an attack, it was a warning. The keepers hadn't asked the desert to destroy the invaders. They had asked the desert to delay them, to slow them down just long enough to secure the most precious treasure of all, the scrolls that held Africa's oldest, most profound truths. Time was the only weapon they needed. So, for hours, Constantine's army was paralyzed. Their feet sank into the ground where it should have been solid rock. Every direction they turned looked identical, an endless labyrinth of shifting sand. Every dune grew higher than the last, creating a prison with walls made of pure, flowing earth. They were trapped, not by an enemy they could see, but in a maze carved by the desert's will. This event became known, in secret whispers passed down through generations, as Usiku hwevhu yakatsamwa, the night the sand got angry. But the anger wasn't aimed at the soldiers themselves. It was an anger against the act of forgetting, against the erasure of history, because true knowledge, real knowledge, defends itself. The keepers got the time they desperately needed, and as the sun rose and the dunes settled back into their silent, sleeping forms, Constantine realized for the first time that he was not just fighting a city of mud and stone. He was fighting an entire memory field, the collective consciousness of Africa itself. He had been humbled, but he was not defeated. He would return, and this time, he would bring a new weapon, one far more dangerous than armies or fire. He would bring a weapon designed to corrupt memory itself. And that, my friends, is where the real battle for Timbuktu truly began. Stay tuned for the next episode. Thanks for watching.